The impossible mission. The void nexus hung in space, like a wound in reality itself, a perfect sphere of absolute darkness that defied all known laws of physics. It had claimed exactly 389 expeditions from 24 different sentient species across the galaxy. Not a single explorer had ever returned. Not a single piece of equipment had survived. Not a single transmission had escaped its boundaries. Until today. The observation deck of Galactic Research Station Delta 7 buzzed with tension as representatives from a dozen advanced civilizations gathered to witness what many considered to be humanity's most foolish endeavor yet. The massive viewing screen displayed the void nexus in real time, its perfect blackness contrasting sharply with the swirling purple gases of the Cygnus Nebula behind it. High Chancellor Vraxil of the Thalassian Conclave leaned forward, his crystalline exoskeleton catching the ambient light. "This is madness," he said to the human representative beside him. "Your species' stubborn insistence on attempting what has been proven impossible 389 times is perplexing." Dr. Thomas Harrington offered a polite smile. As Earth's chief science liaison to the Galactic Council, he had endured this conversation countless times over the past year. "High Chancellor, with respect, we believe previous approaches have been fundamentally flawed." Flawed. The translator couldn't quite capture the mixture of derision and incredulity in the Thalassian's harmonic voice. The most advanced quantum shielding technology from the Arcturian Empire couldn't penetrate the boundary. The phase-shifting vessels of the Melmori disappeared without a trace. The Zithians sent their most advanced AI probe, and it was simply erased. "Exactly," Harrington nodded. "Everyone approaches the void nexus as a barrier to be forced through or a fortress to be breached. We're trying something different." The double doors at the rear of the observation deck slid open, and the room fell silent. Dr. Maya Chen walked in with unhurried confidence. At 36, she was relatively young for a mission of this magnitude, but her reputation in theoretical physics and consciousness studies had made her the only logical choice to lead humanity's first, and perhaps only, expedition into the void nexus. Unlike the formal attire of the diplomats and scientists gathered in the room, Maya wore what appeared to be a form-fitting black bodysuit with subtle iridescent patterns that seemed to shift and flow across its surface like oil on water. No bulky equipment, no obvious protection, no weapons. Several of the alien dignitaries exchanged confused glances. Dr. Chen. Ambassador Krill of the Meridian Collective spoke, his tentacles rippling with what humans had learned to interpret as extreme skepticism. "We were expecting to see your expedition vessel and crew. Where is your equipment?" Maya smiled, touching a hand to her suit. "This is it, Ambassador. This is the harmony." The silence deepened, then exploded into multiple overlapping voices, some translated into standard galactic, others chittering, buzzing, or pulsing with light patterns expressing various forms of disbelief or outrage. Silence. The commanding voice of Grand Admiral Zorax cut through the chaos. The massive Cronin military leader stood nearly 9 feet tall, his scarred exoskeleton revealing centuries of battles survived. "Let the human explain before we judge." Maya nodded gratefully to the Admiral. They had developed an unlikely mutual respect during the planning phase of the mission. While Zorax believed the mission would fail like all others before it, he admired the courage and innovation behind the attempt. "Thank you, Admiral," Maya said, stepping to the center of the observation deck. She activated a holographic display with a gesture, showing the detailed schematics of her suit. The Harmony is not a vessel or a protective shield in the traditional sense. It's an interface. The display zoomed in, revealing microscopic structures within the suit's fabric. For 3 centuries, every expedition has approached the void nexus as a hostile environment to be conquered or survived. Maya continued. Our research suggests this fundamental approach is flawed. The void nexus doesn't destroy things that enter it, it responds to them. Ambassador Krill's tentacles twisted in a gesture of incredulity. The evidence suggests otherwise. Dr. Chen, we have documented the complete molecular disintegration of advanced vessels the moment they cross the boundary. With respect, Ambassador, you've documented the absence of those vessels after entry, Maya corrected. Not the mechanism of their destruction. There's a difference. With respect, Ambassador, you've documented the absence of those vessels after entry, Maya corrected. Not the mechanism of their destruction. There's a difference. She expanded the holographic display to show a simulation of previous expeditions. Every approach so far has been fundamentally antagonistic. Shields up, weapons ready, sensors probing and scanning. What if the void nexus is responding to perceived aggression? What if it's not a natural phenomenon at all, but something conscious? The room erupted again, this time with sounds that the translation system interpreted as everything from laughter to outrage. Preposterous, High Chancellor Vraxil declared. You suggest this spatial anomaly has feelings. Maya remained calm. I suggest that our understanding of consciousness is still laughably primitive. We once thought only humans were truly sentient. Then we met the stars and found you all. She gestured to the gathered aliens. Each of your species represents a form of consciousness we couldn't have imagined. Why should consciousness be limited to biological or even artificial entities? Why not a quantum field, a spatial anomaly, a void in spacetime itself? Dr. Harrington stepped forward. The Harmony suit isn't designed to protect Dr. Chen from the void nexus. It's designed to communicate with it. Maya touched the fluid patterns on her suit. The outer layer contains quantum resonators that match frequencies we've detected at the nexus boundary. The inner layer is connected directly to my nervous system, translating neural patterns into quantum field manipulations. Instead of attempting to force my way in protected by shields, I'm going to ask permission to enter. Grand Admiral Zorax leaned forward. And if your theory is wrong, human. Maya met his gaze steadily. Then I'll be the 390th expedition to disappear in the void nexus, and humanity will have learned what every other species already believes, that some mysteries in the universe are meant to remain unsolved. The Admiral's massive mandibles clicked in what humans had learned was a gesture of respect. Brave, at least. Maya turned to the window, gazing at the small transport ship that would carry her to the edge of the void nexus. We've spent too long treating the unknown as an enemy to be conquered. Sometimes understanding requires vulnerability. In the preparation chamber adjacent to the docking bay, Maya underwent her final checks. The Harmony suit's systems pulsed with gentle light as her personal AI assistant, AI, ran diagnostics. Neural interface synchronized at 98.7% efficiency, AI's calm voice reported. Quantum resonators aligned. Consciousness translation matrices active. Dr. Harrington entered, holding a datapad. The Council has approved the mission, though most of them are treating it as a formal acknowledgement of your suicide. He smiled tightly. Politicians. Maya chuckled. They think I'm crazy. Most of them, yes, Harrington admitted. But a few are curious, particularly the Meridians. Ambassador Krill pulled me aside after you left. Apparently, they have ancient records about the void nexus that suggest it wasn't always feared. He's promised to share them if I don't disappear forever. Something like that. Harrington set down the pad and looked at her seriously. Maya, are you absolutely certain about this theory? We could still send a probe equipped with the Harmony technology first. Maya shook her head. The consciousness component is essential. A probe wouldn't work. And no, I'm not certain, but theoretical certainty isn't the point of exploration, is it? She smiled. That's always been humanity's gift to the galaxy. We leap before we're certain. Sometimes we fall, but sometimes we fly. Harrington finished. Your transport is ready. Maya nodded, pulling up the Harmony's hood, which seamlessly integrated with the rest of the suit. If I'm not back in 24 hours, give my cat to my sister. And tell the Council to keep an open mind. The journey to the Void Nexus took exactly 6 hours and 17 minutes from Delta 7. Maya spent most of it in meditation, allowing her mind to reach the particular state of calm openness that 15 years of consciousness research had taught her was optimal for first contact scenarios. The Harmony suit responded to her mental state, its quantum resonators adjusting to match her neural patterns. Approaching Void Nexus boundary, announced the transport ship's eye. Minimum safe distance achieved. Further approach not recommended. Maya rose from her seated position. Thank you. Please maintain position and prepare the airlock. Dr. Chen, the AI responded. Regulations require me to verbally confirm your understanding that exit from this vessel at current coordinates has a historical survival probability of 0%. Maya smiled. Acknowledged. But today we change history. The airlock cycled open, revealing the perfect blackness of the Void Nexus. From this close, it seemed to absorb not just light, but reality itself. The boundary was impossibly sharp, normal space ending abruptly where the void began. Maya took a deep breath, feeling the Harmony suit respond to her slightly elevated heart rate, adjusting its quantum field to maintain the delicate balance she had trained for months to achieve. AI, begin recording, she said. Recording active, her AI assistant confirmed. All systems nominal. Quantum resonators at peak efficiency. Maya stepped to the edge of the airlock, the Void Nexus just meters away. She extended her hand, watching as the subtle patterns on her suit flowed more rapidly, responding to the proximity of the Nexus. I am Dr. Maya Chen of Earth, she said softly, knowing that her words were being transmitted back to Delta 7, where representatives of a dozen advanced civilizations watched with a mixture of dread and fascination. I come seeking understanding, not conquest. I approach with respect, not fear. With those words, she pushed gently away from the transport ship, floating slowly toward the boundary of the Void Nexus. The final transmission received at Delta 7 was Maya's voice, calm and clear. Contact in 3, 2, 1. Then, static. Beyond understanding. Inside the Void Nexus, Maya Chen experienced what no living being had ever survived to describe. There was no disintegration, no pain, no destruction of the Harmony suit. Instead, Maya found herself in nothing and everything. The absolute blackness that had appeared so solid from outside revealed itself as infinitely deep, multidimensional space. The Harmony suit's quantum resonators pulsed rapidly, establishing communication with something vast and ancient that seemed to permeate the darkness around her. Maya felt her consciousness expanding, connecting with the void in ways her human mind struggled to comprehend. The Harmony suit translated her neural patterns into quantum signals and received responses that it converted back into sensations her brain could process. Hello, Maya projected, not with words but with intention, with openness, with curiosity. The response wasn't language as humans understood it. It was pure concept, pure meaning, transmitted directly into her mind through the Harmony's interface. Awareness/recognition/curiosity. Maya's scientific training had prepared her for many possibilities, but the reality exceeded her most optimistic theories. The Void Nexus wasn't a natural anomaly or a weapon. It was a doorway, a test, a filter. Many AP approach/all, resist/all fear/ILLCEQQONHQER/noni understand, came the concepts. Maya understood then. Every previous expedition had approached the Void Nexus as a barrier to overcome, a hostile environment to be shielded against. Their very technology, designed to protect, to scan, to overcome, had been interpreted as aggression, as invasion. I don't fear you, Maya projected. I seek to understand. Truth/verification, came the response, and Maya felt her consciousness being gently examined, her intentions read like an open book. What followed was communion rather than communication, a direct exchange of knowledge and experience that transcended language. the entity within the void nexus. For Maya understood now that it was indeed a form of consciousness, though vastly different from any known to the Galactic Council, shared glimpses of its nature and purpose. It had existed for millions of years, a sentient quantum field created by a civilization so ancient they had disappeared before most current species had evolved. It served as guardian and gatekeeper to knowledge and technologies that its creators had deemed too dangerous to leave unprotected, yet too valuable to destroy. The 389 previous expeditions hadn't been destroyed. They had been rejected. Their approach, fundamentally based on force and protection rather than understanding and respect, had caused the entity to simply redirect them, sending their matter and energy elsewhere in the universe to prevent harm. Maya shared in return the story of humanity, their curiosity, their ability to conceptualize the unknown without immediately fearing it. She shared Earth's art, music, poetry, expressions of the human drive to understand and connect. Time/limitation/return, the entity finally communicated, and Maya understood that her human body could not sustain this level of communion indefinitely. "May I return?" she asked. "PERNISSION/LUELCO/memory/anticipation," came the response, along with something else, a gift of knowledge, carefully measured to be comprehensible to her human mind, and the current level of galactic civilization's development. Maya felt herself being gently guided back toward the boundary. As her consciousness returned fully to her body, one final concept flooded her mind. NESSENGER. The observation deck of Galactic Research Station Delta 7 had remained continuously staffed for 23 hours since Maya Chen had disappeared into the void nexus. Most of the alien representatives had returned to their quarters, confident that humanity's foolish experiment had ended like all previous attempts. Only a skeleton crew of human scientists and a few curious aliens remained, maintaining a vigil more out of respect than hope. Dr. Harrington had refused to leave, consuming stimulants to stay awake, his eyes fixed on the monitors showing the unchanging void nexus and the transport ship maintaining its position at the minimum safe distance. "Sir," one of the junior scientists said gently, "it's been almost 24 hours. Perhaps we should prepare the memorial statement." Harrington nodded wearily. "I suppose we—" "Contact," shouted the sensor operator. "Something's emerging from the void nexus." The observation deck erupted into activity as the monitors zoomed in on a small figure emerging from the perfect blackness of the nexus, a human figure in a black suit with flowing iridescent patterns. "Impossible," whispered Ambassador Krill, who had returned at the 23-hour mark out of respect for what he considered human courage, if not wisdom. Grand Admiral Zorax, who had never left, stood abruptly, his massive form casting shadows across the deck. "Magnify," he ordered. The image enhanced, showing Maya Chen floating gently away from the void nexus, the Harmony suit intact and pulsing with patterns of light more complex and beautiful than when she had entered. Most striking of all was her face, visible through the translucent hood. She was smiling. "Transport ship Galileo to Delta 7, came the transmission. "I've got her. Dr. Chen is alive, and I'm bringing her aboard now." 3 hours later, after medical examinations confirmed she was not only alive, but in perfect health, Maya Chen walked into a hastily assembled meeting of the Galactic Council. The room fell silent as she entered, still wearing the Harmony suit, its patterns now settled into a gentle, steady flow. High Chancellor Vraxil found his voice first. How is this possible?" Maya smiled. "We were wrong. All of us. The void nexus isn't a destructive force. It's a sentinel, a guardian, a test." Over the next hour, Maya explained what she had experienced, translating the direct consciousness-to-consciousness communication into terms the assembled representatives could understand. She described the ancient civilization that had created the void nexus, their technologies, their wisdom, their foresight in creating a guardian that would only share their knowledge with those who approached with understanding rather than force. The 389 expeditions weren't destroyed, Maya explained, causing a ripple of shock through the assembly. They were redirected, sent safely to distant parts of the galaxy because their approach was deemed inappropriate. Redirected where? Demanded a representative of the Arcturian Empire, whose most advanced battlecruiser had disappeared into the Nexus century earlier. I don't know exactly, Maya admitted. The entity didn't provide specific coordinates, but it assured me they were unharmed. Perhaps, with further communication, we could learn how to find them. Grand Admiral Zorax leaned forward. And what did you gain from this? Communion. Beyond this information. Maya's smile deepened. Knowledge. Carefully measured, appropriate for our current level of development. Not weapons or power, but understanding. She activated a holographic display showing complex mathematical equations and diagrams. A new theoretical framework for quantum communication across unlimited distances. The beginnings of how to perceive 11-dimensional space, and most importantly, an invitation to return. The implications were staggering. After centuries of treating the Void Nexus as a deadly anomaly to be avoided or conquered, it had revealed itself as perhaps the greatest repository of knowledge in the galaxy, accessible only to those who approached with respect rather than fear. Ambassador Krill's tentacles rippled with excitement. This could change everything we know about the universe. It already has, Maya said quietly. But the entity was clear. Future expeditions must approach as I did, with openness and respect. Any attempt to secure or control the Void Nexus will be met with the same response as before. High Chancellor Vraxil's crystalline form glittered as he shifted position. You expect us to simply trust this entity? To approach without protection? Without defenses? No, Maya said. I expect us to learn a new way of exploration. We've spent millennia approaching the unknown with shields raised and weapons ready. Perhaps it's time we tried a different path. In the weeks that followed, the news spread across the galaxy. The mysterious Void Nexus, feared for centuries, had been breached by a human using technology based not on force but on communication. Dozens of species began developing their own versions of the Harmony suit, though Maya warned that without the fundamental shift in approach, the willingness to be vulnerable in pursuit of understanding, such technology would fail. 6 months later, Maya Chen led a joint expedition back to the Void Nexus. This time, she was accompanied by representatives from 7 species, each wearing their own culturally specific version of the Harmony suit, each having undergone months of training in the consciousness techniques she had developed. As they approached the perfect blackness together, Maya felt the familiar quantum resonance beginning, the patterns on her suit flowing in response to the entity's presence. Remember, she said to her companions, we're not here to take or conquer. We're here to understand. Together, they stepped into the void. And this time, all of them returned, forever changed by what they had experienced, carrying new knowledge that would transform galactic civilization. The Void Nexus, once the most feared location in charted space, became the most revered, a place of pilgrimage for those seeking understanding rather than power, a testament to the uniquely human approach that had unlocked its secrets. And throughout the galaxy, a new respect grew for the young species from Earth who had taught the stars that sometimes the greatest strength is the courage to be vulnerable, and the greatest wisdom is knowing when not to fight.